What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to This Week in White Supremacy. We are here. We are back together.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
In the same place. Although there's going to be a lot of road trips coming up, so... Yeah.
And there's also going to be... I just want to preface this right now for all of the delicate viewers. Somebody on this podcast has a lot of light-skin hate that they're about to deploy in this episode. And I'm okay with it. I don't know. Are you okay with it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's somebody here about to put their colorism cap on, and you know what? I'm a supporter. I'm a supporter.
They found out that lawsuit got thrown out, and it was like, I can go full on. I can call light-skinned people anything we want. Drake's lawsuit got thrown out.
Listen, you know, you could call
who
me.
Who needs therapy? You should yell at light skin. You know what I'm saying? Like, who needs to heal, okay?
Oh, who needs to heal indeed? Don't you have a whole show about healing?
Wow. Yeah.
Practice what you preach, my nigga.
It's called Brunch with a Black Man, okay?
Not
brunch with a light skin. Have there been any? Are there light skin? Oh, you are a guest.
You had a couple light skin niggas on
there.
Okay,
a couple light skin. Okay.
Is there a preference for darker skinned people on my podcast? I wouldn't say so. Now, is there a representation, a multicultural representation?
Do you have a spectrum of blackness?
I do have a spectrum of blackness.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm cool with being light skinned. Just don't call me the M word.
What, like mixed?
Yeah, I don't like that, and I don't like the other one.
Mulatto?
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I'll punch you in the face over that shit.
I was like high yellow. I was very
high yellow.
He said the M word.
And I was at first. My brain was like, and I was like, "What is the M word?"
All the slurs that you use on a daily basis.
She has too many.
Rolling into your mind. She was like, "What did you
call me one day? A light skinned bitch?"
Oh my god! Oh wow! It's all coming out now.
I would never.
Like, Jesus Christ, man!
I would never.
Well, this light skinned person.
Yellow tracksuit, and I said, you should be arrested for being outside naked.
Yeah, I got that.
I laughed for like 45 minutes, and he was like, "That is not funny."
That's why I don't wear yellow.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't think it's your color. Like, I think like the bottoms are fine, but I feel like you can't just do like all yellow. You need like accents.
No, light skinned people should not be all yellow. No.
Like, and that's like dark skinned people can be real colorful.
Absolutely.
And it looks banging.
The skin just accentuates it.
I put on a bunch of. It looks like a clown.
I like bright shit, but I know where to start to draw the line.
Got you. You draw the line at highlighter yellow.
I do indeed. Yep.
Well, this light skinned person is named Jasiri X.
Hi.
I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media, and apparently the light skinned bully has returned.
Yes, she has.
Across from me, your name is, ma'am.
The person whose phone got stolen, and I know y'all put my phone somewhere, so I'm just gonna let it go.
Wallahi, I did not touch your mobile.
Y'all moved my phone, but I must let it go for this hour. But anyhow,
that is good because you shouldn't be on your phone.
I know y'all
during this show. And there are times where the blind camera comes on.
That's how I know he has it. I just want you to know that I know what y'all did.
Will be on the phone.
But anyways,
I didn't touch your phone.
I am. Do you know who did?
No, I didn't know your phone was missing until you said something.
I don't. Anyways, it's your girl Miracle, aka Big Blessing with the Big Blessing.
Yes,
and I'm here.
You're here.
And you're bully everybody for this hour.
No. Apparently, there's no.
I'm just
color.
Angry.
No colorism ceasefire today.
There's no colorism. There's no sun. Look outside. There's no sun. There is no sun. It's just the beginning.
Sugar cookie season is upon us, man.
Hell yeah.
I'm so miserable.
Yes, and my brother.
It's me, man, the toxic one from Toronto, the gorgeous gaslighter, the Canadian crippler, supreme Asiatic, intelligently divine.
Yeah. Should we call you maybe O2 Toronto?
Jesus Christ. Still a lot of baseball left.
Still a lot of baseball to play.
Still a lot of baseball to play.
You know what? A true fan represent his team
through ups and downs.
Wins and losses. So the fact that they lost 2 games, but we
cleaned up on the Yankees. We had the best record in the AL. Yeah, it's the City Connect.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, these are crazy. Yeah. So, I'm always going to rep Toronto. Doesn't matter. I was with Toronto when we had the Gray Fitteds and we was 40-win team.
Yeah.
I'm with us when we a 98-win team.
Yeah. Okay. But we will see. Baseball is different. Does home field advantage really matter in baseball? Not really.
Not really.
You know what I'm saying?
Not really.
So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that turns around.
They could be the Pirates. So, like.
They could be the Pirates.
I mean, me and you probably could put a team together. Like one hood could probably put a team together
Jesus
to
Christ.
challenge the Pirates. I mean, they're not the greatest. You know what I'm saying?
But there's like, I don't know their players, but there's one that has dreads. Is very cute.
O'Neal Cruz.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
you know the cute one?
She said lots. There's only one player on the.
Shout out to you, boo.
Yeah, he from the Dominican.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not an athlete, so I just feel like, oh.
Yeah,
She
Tell
said
me about
lots.
my man.
Tell
Tell
it
me
was a
about
joke.
my man.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Well, we talked.
I ain't no sucker, nigga. Don't call me Don't challenge my masculinity, nigga. Fuck is you talking about, nigga?
Poor John. Poor John.
Wow.
Shout out
Yes.
to Mark Martel, because we love you over here.
Yeah, we love. We love Mark.
That's the homie. And it's funny because we'll always reference something and I know like our audience has zero clue.
I seen a critique
What
of the
we're
Joe Budden
referencing.
podcast today,
Yeah.
and it was that they speak to each other like the audience knows all of the inside jokes.
yeah.
Right. And that was a critique.
And that's what we do.
We do that all the
Absolutely.
time.
We
Yeah,
do that all
yeah.
the time. And they don't.
They have
And it's
no
just
idea.
jokes for
Yeah.
ourselves. However, last week
Right.
We-
It seems so long ago because
does seem a while ago. Yeah, a lot has happened.
so much.
And a lot has happened in the world because last week we took time on the podcast to talk about 2 years later after the events of October 7th.
Right.
We had a lot of powerful analysis about it. Now, a week later, there is an apparent ceasefire that was pushed and negotiated by Donald Trump. Donald Trump, and we'll talk a little bit about, him really wanting the Nobel Peace Prize, and Donald Trump was wanting, and he was trying to do this ceasefire since he's been in office. He finally was able to, it looks like, to get to at least hostages have been returned.
Yeah.
So hostages on the Palestinian hostages, Israeli hostages have been returned, and hostages remains have been returned. So that was like a moment. Trump went to Israel to commemorate this. We saw footage of Palestinians going back into Gaza, obviously to
nothing.
to rubble.
Yeah.
So I want to start with you, Miracle. Where are we? Is this a moment to celebrate? Is this we're being like kind of careful celebration because obviously, according to Al Jazeera, 5 Palestinians were killed last night.
Yeah.
Right. Where are we now? And is this a moment for us to take a breath? Can Palestinians begin to rebuild? Is Gaza going to be turned into a Trump real estate place?
Like Monaco or
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we now?
I think we are at the place of cautious optimism because, even Hamas came out and were saying that they are willing to work with the Palestinian Authority. They are willing to make sure that everything is going to be okay, and that they're willing to make sure that people are going to be able to move beyond them, right? And I think that is something that's been the biggest barrier that we've been talking about from elected officials, and particularly within the West. So I think you're like, okay, I'm hopeful that things will get better on that side.
Right.
However, I do think that the reality is that we know Israel has broken the ceasefire with Lebanon. We know that, Trump was like, I just want this done for personal reasons.
Right.
And so that is not going to be the justice that the Palestinian people need.
Right. But will the again, Trump's ego and hubris, because remember when I forget what he was negotiating and Israel bombed somebody and he stood in front of that helicopter on the mic and he was like,
oh yeah, when they retaliated against Iran.
Yeah, and he was he cursed at them like they got to stop that.
Yeah.
I forget what the language that he used. And
He was
it's
tight.
like,
He was
but
tight.
here, I think when people look at,
What are you bombing?
yeah, something to that effect. And it's like, people know that you have to play to Trump's ego. Trump wants that. Could just Trump's sheer ego and hubris be the reason maybe that Netanyahu Israel honors this? Possibly?
I think possibly. I think it's the fact that Netanyahu needs something to stay in office. And if it's going to be like restarting a war, well, he's been proven he'll do that. And I think that, like I've said before, I will always bring this back to the United States because, you know, what did Clinton do when he was over here, you know, getting in trouble for his affairs? He went and bombed, I believe it was Bosnia. He started bombing, right?
Bosnia City.
So that it's just like this thing now that elected officials do. Oh, I'm gonna get out of office. Let me start a war, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. I think also, what is it going to look like to hold people accountable? You have people who have done horrific things, right? Particularly, you know, Israeli soldiers. You've had people come out and talk about, like, you know, Ben Giver, the Minister of Defense, was talking about he was out here violating people in these prisons. Right. What justice do we have now? So I think as you rebuild, the biggest thing is going to be like holding people accountable.
But who would do that?
That's the
like
problem.
Who is going to hold again? Like Trump was in, I think, the Knesset, and I think that's what it's called in Israel. And he was talking about somebody getting a pardon, and apparently there were, you know, the Knesset has Arab members. There were members who were kicked out because they were holding up signs that said genocide. So it's, you know, Donald Trump doesn't want to hold Netanyahu accountable. You know, Netanyahu, of course, has been accused. I think the International Criminal Court has basically accused him of committing crimes. Trump's not going to hold him accountable. So if it's not going to be the United States, the United Nations doesn't have the power to, or doesn't seem to want to maybe exercise the power to. So who holds Israel accountable?
You would hope that it'd be the Israeli people, because technically they just don't like the three most radical people. And they have been trying to prosecute him. So he was talking about like pardon him.
Oh yeah, right.
Because corruption trial.
Netanyahu, it's right. So he was telling them to pardon Netanyahu, right? It was right.
Because every time Netanyahu was supposed to go testify, he bombed something, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta leave. It's an emergency," right? Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing right now is with this ceasefire. How do we get back to valuing people's lives? You go what's going on in the Sudan, the Congo, what's going on in Haiti. You know, so the Uyghurs. Like, how do we go back to like valuing people's lives and not seeing them as like political pawns? Right. Because I think that what happened in Reza is the most blaring example of like what happens when people just don't care about people's lives. Right. And you're like, oh, you pissed me off, I'm gonna kill this person. You make me angry, I'm gonna kill this person. Right. Like, how do we get back to a point where we actually value people's lives and we say like enough is enough? So like, I'm happy there's a ceasefire. Yeah. I am happy that like the bombings seem to be reduced. You know, there is random conversations about like the quadcopters, or are they dropping bombs? Are they still shooting people? Right. But I do think that just being able for the Palestinian people to go home, try to attempt to rebuild what's in, you know, the reduced Gaza Strip, right? Because Israel has set up they've taken a bunch of land within for a security border. Right. I'm happy that they're able to return home.
Absolutely. And I think you do bring up a great point, like, because you mentioned the Sudan, you mentioned Congo, like there isn't currently like a world apparatus that can bring justice to these situations, unless it's Trump trying to, you know, because he was talking about maybe he'll get the Nobel Prize next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, where is that? And other than raising awareness, like, what else can we do? You know, so like you said, it is a first step. Farouk, what were your thoughts?
So I have many thoughts, and I have concepts of thoughts.
Got you.
I don't know if there's anything that could be done in terms of like holding Israel responsible outside of how history documents this.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like if we look at it and we go back to like the 80s, right? Like people loved in the moment Ronald Reagan. Yes. They loved Reaganomics. They loved him busting the unions. And then you were maybe 10 years removed from his 10 years presidency. Clinton's now in office. And you start to look back at all of the irreparable harm that the Reagan administration did. And not just, and I think like Reagan kind of gets that pass because of the Berlin Wall. Right. Yeah. Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall.
And just to even Clinton, right? Remember, Clinton was super popular.
Absolutely.
And then once we remove, like you said, 10 years later, we can look back and say, oh, this is where mass incarceration began. Absolutely. This is where the crime bill, like these things, like at the time, it seemed like, oh, black people were thriving under Clinton. When we kind of look back, it's like, oh, all these harmful policies actually came out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think like this is an interesting moment because we didn't have real-time access to CCTV footage and all these other things that we have right now during this Trump administration.
Right.
And the situation with Netanyahu in Israel. The UN, I don't think us as humanitarians, as humans of the world, can any longer look to the UN for any type of binding resolution. We cannot ever look to the UN again for any type of moral compass, for a metric on where to go, because time and time again, they failed the globe.
And even, you know, also because you have the United States has this vote that they can kind of veto the shit.
Right, yeah.
And obviously they used it time and time again to stop. So the UN was actually trying to vote in like a ceasefire, whatever, but United States was
and the thing is like you have a majority rule in the UN of the nations represented.
Right.
So USA be damned.
Yeah.
We're gonna go and protect the interests of human rights. That's what you're there to do. But time and time again, you've proved that you're either unwilling, uninterested, or just willfully negligent of the happenings of the world. So I think like we're at this point now where there has to be some type of court of public opinion that is able to tip these scales, right? And I believe that we're at the precipice of that,
right?
Because with everything happening on social media, with all of these different things that are happening around awareness for Gaza and for Sudan and Congo, and I do want to just take a time to like, you know, wave our own flag. From my knowledge, Miracle and I were the very first people in mainstream media to talk about Sudan and Congo before it was a topic.
Okay.
And just the fact that it's still undershadowed because this is an African nation.
Right.
These are black people going through this. But again, the UN has failed these people. Right. And the Red Cross has prophetized off of their death.
With the Congo and the Sudan, you know, those images. Right. Like, you know, and for, you know, I think when I think about this current moment of the ceasefire, you know, I think about all of the, you know, Palestinian journalists. Right. That, you know, not only risked their lives, but
journalists that were murdered.
Yeah. And to kind of get that word out. And it was really those images that these journalists were able to, and these stories, and the, what's the young woman who they did a documentary on her and it won the documentary. Her name starts with a B. She's a young Palestinian journalist. And right. And then even, you know, you see people now, like I saw like a Mos Def wearing like a hoodie that said press on it. Yeah. Like the blue press. And we haven't, like in the Sudan or Congo, we haven't seen those streams of images. Right. Coming out. And I think that's also one of the reasons that we talk about it, but like to have the videos and the horrific videos and images that we were seeing time and time again coming from Palestine. And again, that people risked their lives and died to get out was one of the principal reasons that the tide had turned. And particularly like in the United States, where you had 80%, and I think 90% of Democrats saying we want to end armed sales to Israel. We want a ceasefire. You know, we want, you know, Palestinians to be able to have some level of self-determination. All that came because of those images. I think I think that piece around, and that again, I don't know what's the level of what's happening in Sudan and the Congo because of that.
Go ahead.
Well, no, because I'm writing a piece on this now for a law journal. What the international courts and the international bodies have done is require that only states be able to participate in proceedings. And what that has done since the Bush administration, when he talked about enemy combatants when they were going in Iraq and Afghanistan, was it has allowed for states to then use these proxies to commit war and genocide on their behalf. So, for instance, the UAE has been accused of funneling money and guns to the RSF in Sudan to carry out the genocide because the RSF cannot come before the UN because it's not a state or a member institution. And so what now we have to do, when we're talking about creating these new bodies, Hamas can't come in talk to the UN. Hamas is not a state. It's quote unquote a terrorist organization. I say quote unquote not because it's not is or is not. It's because once you have that
Designation, yeah.
Right.
You're not even allowed to talk to a United States official because you're a terrorist organization. Our policy is we don't talk with terrorists.
Don't negotiate with terrorists.
But, Barack Ravid, I think is how you say his name, he said that, the United States and Hamas had an actual face-to-face talk at some point last week, which is what spurred on this current ceasefire resolution, right? So this idea that we've kind of used white supremacy in international politics and say, oh my gosh, you're not good enough to sit at our table.
Right.
But it's okay because now we have these savages who are killing each other. That's the excuse that we use
Absolutely.
now, right? Look at Haiti. Oh, those are just gangs killing each other. Well, you know who the gang leaders are. Right. Why can't you go and talk?
Right.
And I would say even here in Pittsburgh, we've had to have those arguments of these are the people who are killing folks here. We have to talk to them.
Right.
Somebody, right, is going to have to go and have these conversations with people.
Right.
You can't do this here. Right. And now you have the call-ins and different things. You have to change the mechanism by which you talk to people if you're actually going to try to start to save people's lives.
What do you think, just speaking of that, because a story came out in the Times that basically said that Joe Biden and Netanyahu were given the same deal.
Yeah.
This was a man
White House
named
negotiator,
Gershon Baskin, who basically said the same plan was put on Biden's desk and given to Netanyahu, and they both rejected it.
Yeah.
That Biden didn't really look at it. Netanyahu wanted to continue the war. You know what I'm saying? He put, this was Baskin wrote, it said, this deal could have been done a long time ago. Hamas agreed to all the same terms in September 2024 in what became known as the 3 weeks deal that I have received in writing and a voice message in Arabic and English. But at that point, the response of the Israeli negotiators was that, quote, the prime minister did not agree to end the war. It said Baskin said he got his plan onto Biden's desk, but was unable to get a hearing from his chief negotiator. It said Brett McGurk refused to sway away from the bad deal that he was negotiating. So again, now think about how maybe if this goes down in September of 2024, how maybe much different November of 2024 would have went if, Biden had maybe had, are you looking at the camera? If Biden had maybe had the same hubris and ego or force that Trump showed up with, but they said that one of the reasons that Israel did not want to negotiate that deal because they were waiting for
Trump to come in
a regime change, right? They were waiting for a different group of people to negotiate with.
Can I say something before Miracle goes?
Please.
So,
you're light skinned, so no, sir. We have a dark skin voice first policy.
I appreciate it. I will cede the floor to you.
Oh man, thank you.
Go ahead, my brother.
You don't have melanin as much as me, so I have to, work with the less fortunate. Go ahead.
Oh shit! Damn. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Where's Baskin's gonna have to show up on the show?
Carrying the burden.
What do I even say to that?
Negotiate.
What do I even say to that?
Negotiate with us.
Okay.
Go ahead, my brother.
I think, this goes back to the point I was making earlier about Reagan. When we go back to history, and I think that now that we're just a year removed from Biden, all of his legacy is going to be a weak, feeble president, a president who fell short at every time, who literally lied. The whole student loan thing, the Biden bailouts that never came, right? Biden,
again, not to his credit, he signed the Student Loan Act. It was the Supreme Court that overturned that. Right.
But still
ineffective.
Ineffective, yes. Right? And I like that's a great adjective. An ineffective president, right? In all of his phases, a weak and diminished person, even further into the presidency. His inability to perform something where the entire constituency was, we want a ceasefire now. Right. That was the talking point of the election. That's why you were essentially removed, not only because of your frailty and your senility as it appeared on TV, but the fact that you were so out of touch with your voting demographic.
Right.
that you could not see the trees from the forest. Perhaps, like you said, if he was as arrogant and as brash and brazen as Trump was, or as he was in his younger self.
Yes.
If he was a younger Joe.
Yeah, younger Biden.
If he was super predator
Lock
Biden.
him up, Biden.
Lock him up, Biden,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not bussing Biden.
Yes.
Right? Anti-busser
Yes.
Biden.
Me and what was the nigga's name? Me and Corn Pop.
Corn Pops.
Me and Corn Pop go
Corn
show
Pop.
up and smack you in the head.
Yeah,
Biden.
if he would have pulled up with men like Corn Pop, maybe we would have. But
my son got the blicks and the crack.
Man,
Biden.
listen.
Sorry, go ahead. And the hose,
right?
He got it.
You know what I mean? You know them ones. But like, I think though Biden has just proven to do himself a disservice, and now that this has come out, right?
Yeah.
It only makes Trump actually look better.
Yeah.
It makes Trump look better on a global scale, because he can always say now, hey, listen, I've been the ceasefire president. I wasn't here for 4 years. Biden had this shit last year on his desk before we even got into the electoral bullshit. And look what this is your king.
This is what Baskin says to co-sign you, and then I'll come to you, Miracle, to verify what you just said.
Yeah.
It says, Baskin said, I did not make suggestions regarding the Israeli side because for over a year, I believe that if President Trump decides that the war has to end, Trump will force Netanyahu into the agreement. That is exactly what happened.
Come on, man.
And so the whole time, before I come to Miracle to you, we were saying, and Miracle was one of the main voices saying,
the back kicker.
Right. Saying that the United States has power, like Biden and the Biden-Harris regime had power
man,
to force Netanyahu. And part of that power was maybe stop sending bombs. Like, say you're not going to send any arms. Say you're not going to send any aid. Like, you had that power. And they did not use that power to make Netanyahu come to the table and take a deal. And that's what Trump did. So hearing that, Miracle, what is your response? Other than I told you so. I mean, we talked about.
Yeah.
Give us the best I told you so you can right now.
No, I think it's sad that our government just didn't value Palestinian lives enough to sit there and say the killing has to stop. I think it was ego.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was just like, these people will not get the best of us.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to destroy anything that we can while we can until we decide we just don't want to do it anymore. We have destroyed the environment. We've actually demolished a lot of the stockpiles that we need to even defend our country. Let's say tomorrow China was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a bombing campaign against the United States.
Please skip the whole state of Pennsylvania if you do that.
We don't even have enough stockpiles to go in all-out, full-out war because we've given so much to this genocide in the past 2 years. So that, be that as it may, there was a report that came out that said Netanyahu was not going to do a ceasefire because he wanted Trump in office. And there were those of us who told the Harris team, hey, use this.
Cue the I told you so moment right here.
Blame Trump for what's going on in the Middle East. Say, just like Trump destroyed the immigration deal, he is destroying the ceasefire. This is like the thing you pray for as a comms person. Like, you always want, when something bad happens, you always pray that you have like a scapegoat. Yeah. That's very relatable, but no, you leaned into not doing that. And that is what is hurting like so many of us right now. Is like there were so many things. Like, it's great to say I told you so, but I told you so, my friends are dead. I told you so, and all these bombs happen. I told you so, and people's lives are forever changed, forever disabled. So it's just like, it's not I told you so. It's like, why didn't you listen? Like, why didn't you care? Yeah. And I think that
why weren't those lives meaningful enough to you to to take that stance, that moral stance?
My thing is, like, you're a leader.
Yes.
Whatever happens in the world, it happens. Your job is to stop it.
Right.
To me, how powerful could it have been if Harris was on that stage talking about this cannot continue? She brought out, and we even told her, bring out a Jewish family, bring out a Palestinian, bring out I've always said the Thai workers, right? I don't want to say like more lives or more innocent than the others,
right.
but like bring out the people from Thailand who has nothing to do with this conflict. We're just there for work because their government signed a contract. Talk about this is why we have to move on from war and militarism, because innocent people get caught up in things that have nothing to do with them. And what did she say? We're going to have the most lethal army in the world with her hair like she was a mad woman. I was like, who said to do this?
Right. And again, like, particularly, but I think like Miracle, again, we're looking at it from my vantage point. We're not expecting Trump to do that because Trump was clear what he represents: white supremacists, rule, violence, attacking the less fortunate.
But Trump did though.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I'm talking about in that moment.
Yeah.
In the moment where Biden and Kamala Harris was saying they represented all lives matter. Was saying they represented like a party that cares about marginalized people. Like, again, Kamala coming from a marginalized, being Indian, Jamaican, black, a woman, like all of these different identities. And it's like that it was expected of like you to be that one. And you kind of had that moment where you could have stood up. You could have broken from Biden. There's a whole, again, when we legislate Biden's history, there has to be that conversation about like, really, he costs the Democrats the election.
Absolutely. By
his unwillingness to stick by to keep his own word, where he said he only was going to do this one term, wanting a second term. Possibly knowing that he was dying of cancer, possibly knowing all these other things, his mental acuity. So that's a part of it. But when Kamala did
run the fade, like,
right?
This one.
Oh, you and Biden.
I will run like he probably.
This nigga gonna come out of radiation treatment and see Miracle, boots laced with gloves on her hands, ready to.
But you gotta see me,
right?
Like, no,
but
he probably beat my ass.
But again,
like
coincidentally. Right, he probably would bring out the segregationist Joe Biden would come out. This nigga tries. Anyway, hold on.
Let me give him flashbacks.
Yeah. So coincidentally, as all this is happening, Kamala Harris, former vice president, is doing this book tour. In this book, where she's been critical, she was critical of Biden. I think it's 108 days or it's whatever how many days that she ran for president, and she did an interview on MSNBC,
she was
where they asked her about calling this a genocide. Let's hear what Kamala has to say.
What's happening in Gaza, a genocide. Do you agree with that?
I think that, listen, it is a term of law that a court will decide, but I will tell you that when you look at the number of children that have been killed, the number of innocent civilians that have been killed, the refusal to give aid and support, we should all step back and ask this question and be honest about it. Yeah.
That is an infuriating clip, because you had, how dare you after you had the largest platform in the world to address this, to say we need to step back and look at this in the wake of how many more murders that happened since you had the opportunity to speak on it.
Right.
Since you had the opportunity to take all of the, let's just, infinite media coverage to say one sentence, to bring somebody out like Miracle said. But instead, we have all the receipts.
Yeah.
You denied. You didn't go to any masjids. You didn't speak to any Arabs or Muslims.
Wouldn't even let a Palestinian speak at the DNC.
Wouldn't even let a Palestinian speak at the DNC. You refused to fund or at least lend some type of fiscal support or ask for some type of backing by any organization that had affiliations with Muslims, with Arabs.
And the wild part is Trump did.
And Trump went to masjids. He took his shoes off and went to the mosque.
And won Michigan. Because of it.
But how dare you, as somebody who did everything besides deny of what was happening in Gaza and in Rafah and Palestine, to get up here now and act empathetic?
Well, I would even say this, bro, to take it a step further, right? she starts by saying, listen, this is a term of law. Well, you're a lawyer.
You're a fucking lawyer.
You're an attorney. Like, so if it's a term of law,
she might defer and say, I don't practice international law.
But again, come on. If it's a form of law, right? You're an attorney.
We can talk about jurisprudence. We can talk about jurisprudence.
Right. To really look at this.
The thing is,
so that's almost like a follow-up question where, like, you are a lawyer,
right?
From your legal expertise.
What is this?
Do you believe? Because it was very much a kind of like, I'm not going to use this term. However, I see all the bad things happening. But like you said, step back. No, shouldn't we be intervening? So what are we stepping back for?
Can I just go,
step back to what? See more people starve to death and be killed?
So what I don't like around this, the word genocide is it's borrowing the same context of, do you condemn Hamas? And it's gone into, do you call this a genocide? Right? They're using it in the same way to say that one has to substitute the other. We need a qualifier.
Yes.
To humanize people.
Yes.
Right? You can't humanize the Palestinian experience if they don't condemn Hamas.
Yes.
That was the whole talking point, right?
100%. Yes.
Now it's like, we can't, do you call it a genocide?
Yes.
Well, when are we going to stop using words and use intervention, right? Where is this action?
You are watching This Week in White Supremacy.
Using this moment that Kamala is saying to sell this book, you're just another person in this American war regime profiting off murder, profiting off genocide, profiting off some of the most insidious war crimes that our generation has ever seen, and before, to sell a fucking book.
Yeah, and before I come to Miracle, it's like, also, like, you could have said, by whatever name you want to call it, has to stop.
Absolutely, right there.
It has to stop now.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
We have to get involved. We have to raise our voice. We have to do whatever it can. But, you know, for people who knew Kamala was, again, but you know, you were the nominee, the Democratic nominee. So there's more power that comes with being the Democratic nominee for president than even being a VP. Yeah. That you could have put even public like, let's say behind the scenes, she's frozen out. She can get on the microphone and say, this is what we need to do. Yeah. And that did not happen in the way people thought it should.
One more thing, and I'm going to let Miracle rock because I know she's about to cook. But if you go back, however many episodes it would have been, to where we were talking about what the campaign strategy should have been for Biden and Harris.
Yeah.
I said on here, their campaign should have been, we haven't, but we will.
Yes, you did.
That should have been their campaign slogan.
Yes.
Assume the accountability.
Yes.
Recognize the place we are contextually in the theater of the world, of global politics.
Absolutely.
That's your moment to say that was her moment right there to say what you just said.
Right. But
whatever you want to call it, it got to stop.
Yeah. But again, if she goes out there, and this is kind of what she mentions in her book, and I'll come to Miracle, we haven't, but we will. It's like a sub at Biden.
That's fine.
And it's fine to us.
That's fine. But I mean, she has been.
We didn't want subs at Biden. We wanted a full on, fuck this nigga. Yeah. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But because supposedly the agreement was she had to be in lockstep, and she came out and they were like, what would you change? And she was like, nothing.
I mean, the nigga ain't going to be alive maybe next week. So why not sit on him now? He ain't going to be alive to fight back.
There are so many things that she could have done.
Yes.
But Omar,
I feel like you should write a book like what Kamala should have done.
I probably will.
Like OJ's book, if I did it, if I would have did it.
Let me tell you the truth about Pennsylvania. But I'm going to start with this. One day, when it's safe, when there's no personal downside to calling a thing what it is, when it's too late to hold anyone accountable, everyone will have always been against this. And that is...
Wait, who said that?
Omar Al-Akid. He has a book. One day everyone will have always been against this. I have it. It's really good.
Wow. Okay.
It's the
That's that piece where you talked about, Farouk, that history piece.
Yeah.
One day, 10 years from now, I was like, oh yeah, we were against it when you really weren't. Yeah.
This is the point we are at now. Everyone's like, oh, I didn't hate Palestinians. Oh, I didn't go and advocate for this death. Now that we're seeing the destruction, now we're seeing like the videos of
same
everything.
Like people at Trump. That's not what I voted for.
Now that the Palestinians who've been detained are coming out and speaking, it's and people forget, right? Some of the Palestinians that are being exchanged have never been convicted of any crime.
Right.
They have just been held, detained in Israeli prisons since October of 2023. Some have just been picked up at different sites. We're not Hamas. We're just being held, right? Also, hostages.
Yeah.
And then some are people who have been convicted of being like freedom fighters, doing terrorism, acts of violence. So it's not all the same. And that's something that's very important. When we talk about genocide, the reason genocide isn't just a term is because once something is a genocide, it requires intervention from the international community. And so that is why Yemen was doing the blockade, right? Because they said, Article 1, you as a state have an obligation to stop genocide.
Come on.
We are going to blockade the Red Sea. So having a term of art being used in the situation, there was a reason why people were advocating for it. Now, I do think that it is useless unless you're advocating for The Hague, advocating for some type of accountability. I do understand that death and violence is something that no one should be advocating for. I don't advocate for that. I do believe that you can resist. Malcolm X once said that you can have a bloodless revolution. I do believe that, right? I think Nepal, we don't like now. People did die in Nepal. I want to be very clear about that. But we haven't even talked about like Nepal as much on the internet. Why? Because less than a week they got them people up out of there. They were like, we are.
They shook the Etch-a-Sketch. They were like,
we are done with this, and we're putting progressives in office. Right? You look at some of the Kenya uprising, the uprisings in Nigeria. These things have been effective. People did die. I'll be very clear about that. But you saw this mass movement and mobilization, but we don't talk about those stories because when people in the global south rise up and have a regime change, as we like to call it, that's positive for the people, we just like back off. Look what's happening like in Brazil. You know, we're like, we don't want to talk about him too much because he out here fight for the people. Look at the president of Mexico, who is a woman,
Sheinbaum,
you know, a socialist. She out here raising her GDP, getting more health.
I was saying Mexico is thriving right now.
Look at the right-wing regime of Argentina.
Got get bailed out.
Falling,
exactly.
And now, but now
$21
billion from the United States because this is Trump's friend and Elon's friend, and so they want to bail this dude out because
their economy's in free fall.
Those policies don't work. Now, one of the things that happened on Kamala's book tour was somebody came, and this was in Washington D.C., and protested Kamala's book tour, and Kamala had a response. Can you play that clip, sir?
You are soon enough. And you know, I sometimes think about President of the United States.
She's not president of the United States, but she's the reason why we have the president we do now.
Wow. So is it, so you believe because...
Say it again, Miracle?
I said she's not the president of the United States, but she's the reason we have the president that we do now.
So is it, you know, and that was the piece, right? People were saying...
Boycott her, yes.
So you believe that even though she's not the president...
She's making millions of dollars to talk about why she couldn't do anything and didn't want to help the people of Palestine. Boycott that. No, you should not be able to make millions of dollars in peace.
But I was just saying.
Same thing with Henry Kissinger.
Come on.
People boycott him the day he died.
Right.
You know, Blinken, all these people, y'all put us in this mess.
Right.
Y'all need to be, you do not get to live in peace. You do not get to retire in your mansion with millions of dollars and just like travel all over the world in peace. Y'all are the reason the world is a dumpster fire right now. Outside of Palestine, let's be very clear. When when people are like, hey, we need a fair wage, we need better protections for workers, she went with the Restaurant Association, right? When people were like, hey, we need better regulations on businesses, she went with Mark Cuban, who what did he say? You want my endorsement, let go of Lena Khan, who was like the best like FTC director we've ever had in the United States. It was like, you know what? You can't force people to work out at these gyms if they don't want to. You can't put like these bad contracts in here. You have to let people go. Like all this type of stuff that what people really, really liked. So let's be very clear. It wasn't like, yes, Palestine was a thing that people cared about very deeply, but there were actual local policy implications that she just threw away, including Medicare for all, that she just moved away from. because she wanted to win. So let's be very clear. People have a right to be like, you put us in this mess. You tried to sit there and become a Republican overnight, and there's 170 days. And instead of saying, I'm like, had she done a book and was like, let me tell you what 107, and I'm sorry. Right? I am sorry I failed you. I am sorry.
Right.
We could have been having a different, and to me, it's the hubris.
Yeah.
It is the hubris. Like, I've been talking to people, and people are like, you know what? I did not realize what you were asking.
I would say this, Miracle. I agree with you. Again, if Kamala does say, you know, like, I'm sorry, like, I failed the Palestinian people.
And not just the Palestinians. She failed everybody.
Well,
trans people,
yes,
queer people.
Yeah. But if she does issue kind of like a mea culpa and saying, like,
yes, that's what
I
people
would have ran differently. I see now, particularly if you're going to re-emerge in political life. We don't know if that was her plan. There was a thinking that she might run for governor of California, or she might run for California Senate at some point. If you want to kind of re-emerge in public life, it was this thinking of that she would say, like, if I had to do it differently, I would have stood firmer for Palestinians, stood firmer for trans folks, stood firmer for black people. Now, like, she could go and say, hey, you know, I'm going to go endorse Zoran Mondami. I'm going to go, you know what I mean? Like there's a pathway to, like,
Jimmy Carter pathway, is what I tell people. Like,
Jimmy Carter.
We need a Jimmy, like we need a Jimmy Carter. And I also think what she could do is, you know, as a black woman,
yes,
I had so much pressure. And I was afraid of failing people. So I listened to, this is why I listened to the pundits. This is why I went away from the things that I knew in my gut was so important. I believe that if I was loyal to Joe, he would be loyal to me. And the reality is that is not true for black women in America. And I knew that in the back of my mind, but I hoped that this time would be different because so much was riding on this election. And I hope that people would see me being the legacy of Biden, and they would have supported me, but they did not.
One day somebody going to hire a Miracle to be there.
And
to be their speech writer.
Man.
This is why we did the 107 days. And the last chapter should have been, shout out to OJ. If I would do it again.
If I do it again.
Yeah.
This is what I would do.
Rest in peace,
and
Uncle OJ.
This is what politicians should do going forward.
Right.
That is how you do it. That is how you have the humility. That is how you build your brand.
Right. And you reemerge with this different. Yeah.
That is what Harris should be doing, but she's not. And I think there is a rumor. No, not true. It is that, the campaign ended in a little bit of debt.
Right.
And so this book tour is to get that money to recoup the debt.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. But I do same with Barack Obama. These people have such power in the world that they can actually change the world for the better.
Absolutely.
And they can actually use their talents and their power to build the world that we should.
And instead of doing that, they're doing podcasts.
They're doing podcasts.
Doing everything except for what they need to do.
They making movies that don't nobody want to see.
What the hell?
They talk about they love life. We don't listen.
But
we don't need that. What we need is high speed rail.
But it also shows the difference. It shows the difference between like a politician and an actual like movement leader. Because a politician, you don't want, at the end of the day, like a politician is about like shaping political policy. They're not about like actually putting their lives on the line. Again, we're watching a war take place in Chicago where they're currently about to open up Obama's library. Like, as somebody who's most associated with Chicago and somebody that Trump has kicked your back in time and time again, why isn't Obama, again, you want to do your man's podcast, cool, claps to you. But why haven't we seen Obama literally like in Chicago, rallying people, bringing people together, using that same speech when he was in the park, when he won the presidency and everybody was so inspired? He has the ability to do that. And again, to me, he's choosing not to. He's choosing not to engage this. Kamala Harris is choosing not to engage this current administration in any real organized way.
Because that's been their way the whole time. That's the motto and the status quo of the Democrats.
And if there is one, when we talk about a black woman in politics, if there is one black woman that at least we've seen muster up the strength to challenge the rhetoric of Donald Trump, right? To challenge him as he's calling everybody names and everything, she's responded in the light. It's been Jasmine Crockett, and she came under fire not by, well, we don't even know. This brother's talking like he's a Republican. But somehow, Stephen A. Smith ain't light-skinned.
He's light-skinned.
Would you consider him?
He is light-skinned adjacent.
I would say
today.
he's like peanut butter.
He is light-skinned adjacent today.
Stephen A. Smith is known as a sports, and again, his sports takes be bad. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say Stephen A. Smith hasn't been good at anything in a long time.
Stephen A. Smith was chatting out of his mouth until he seen LeBron step to him in his face, and then Stephen A. Smith ain't do nothing, which of course he's not going to, right? So Stephen A. Smith is somebody who has these bombastic sports takes. He's been wrong a lot of the times, had to apologize a lot of times, most notably with Kyrie Irving, who he knew his father and his family. And when his father, again, stepped to Stephen A. Smith, he punked out again. You feel me? So, but Stephen A. Smith now sees himself as possibly a person that might run for president, and sees himself as some type of political pundit. And Stephen A. Smith, who's never held public office, we know, right? But Stephen A. Smith, he wasn't even a good basketball player when he played basketball.
1 point.
Right. But as his commentator decided he was going to give advice to Jasmine Crockett, who again has been one of the Democrats that have been holding, at least rhetorically, Trump and these Republicans' feet to the fire. Do you want to play Stephen A.'s advice?
To express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent.
Now is the time.
No, when Massa says,
I was about to say,
we gotta get the cotton at this particular time. What are y'all slaves in the field doing? Are y'all trying to have conversations to liberate yourselves and be free? No, y'all can't be doing that. We gotta do what Massa say because Massa in charge. And I mean, this is how this man sounds.
Stephen A. Smith.
He's Stephen.
He's Stephen
from Django.
Stephen A. Smith is racing to slavery faster than his hairline is racing to the back of his neck. Right? Like Stephen A. Smith want to be a house nigga so bad.
Yes.
He really like Stephen A. Smith is the new Jason Whitlock. Right. He is Black Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith is that old uncle.
Yeah.
At all of the you niggas is the they thems and he's that old uncle who never got with the program.
Right.
The world passed him by. He lived long enough to see himself become a joke, and now he's upset at everything.
I would argue differently.
Okay.
I think Stephen A. Smith is very savvy and very intelligent.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not.
I think Stephen A. Smith saw a lane.
So you don't think he doesn't believe what he's saying?
I think Stephen A. Smith saw a lane. Right. Again, Stephen A. Smith started to say flattering things about Donald Trump, right?
For a while.
First, he started to be very critical of the Democrats, which that's very easy to do, right? He was critical of Kamala, critical of Joe Biden, and started to say flattering things about Donald Trump and the Republicans, right? Remember, he just said, this was like a month ago, like, yo, if the man is in power, you gotta listen to the man. You gotta do what the man says, right? And really, as we're about to go into October 18th, where they're saying this could be the largest protest in the history of the United States, like 30 years from the Million Man March, where 2 million men went to Washington, D.C., they're saying this No Kings protest that's happening all across the country could be the biggest. At the same time, while people are organizing this No Kings, the Republicans are calling everybody Antifa, who Trump has said is a terrorist organization. So we could see mass arrests. We don't know what's going to happen, right? So to me, Stephen A. sees a lane where he's like, I can be the black middle ground, right? I can be that guy who's in the middle, and maybe there's a pathway to me to be presidency. And if not, I can move from sports commentating to political commentating where there's more money and more power, right? Maybe he could be the new, to me, he's not looking to be, maybe he could be the new Tucker Carlson, right? He could be the new Sean Hannity. So to me, he sees this space, and so he's going to be the acceptable Negro.
Of course.
So I'm putting all the, this nigga over here, you're talking to Master too loud, right? I gotta put this black woman in her place, or this black man in his place. And he's been doing that in sports. We talked about with Kyrie Irving, when Kyrie Irving didn't want to take
with LeBron.
COVID right. Serena's husband just had to check this man on national TV. And
he had no smoke.
You don't got to smoke when that billionaire white man come on there and check your ass, right? So I actually think that Stephen A. is being strategic about what he's doing and why he's doing it, because I think he sees a place, and then maybe Trump nominates him and brings him into the fold, as what Eric Adams did previous, right? So I think he's saying he's almost trying to bid down with Trump. He recently said the whole story about Donald Trump's president because they didn't allow him to get the Buffalo Bills. And so again, but to me, to put it bluntly, you kind of said it. I mean, Stephen A. Smith is a bitch ass nigga, and Stephen A. Smith is actually, like you said, behaving like Stephen in Django.
Yeah.
And trying to be one of these black people that try to make it to where, y'all got to be careful. Don't protest. Do whatever Trump says. Flatter him. Make a deal with him.
So I agree with everything you're saying.
And the last thing I'll say is if Martin Luther King took that advice, if Malcolm took that advice, if our leaders, if Harriet Tubman took that advice, you wouldn't be on your fucking platform right now, Stephen A. Smith. If those black people that came before you would have just gone along to get along, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in. You're in the position because these black people put their goddamn lives on the line, including Assata, may she rest in peace.
Right.
That's why you're able to get on the mic and say the bullshit you're doing, because of what our ancestor did. So you not only disrespect yourself, you disrespect the very people that did not go along to get along, so your black ass can sit on ESPN and kiss white folks' asses. Excuse me. Miracle, did you have something to say?
See, always a man.
Always a man.
It's always a man causing havoc and chaos. It is the fact that he talked about how she engages, how she speaks. And then in all of this was like, but how dare you?
Right.
Yes.
Call the president out of his name.
Yes. Mm-hmm. When he done called mad people out of their name. And you ain't say nothing about that bullshit.
That was the part that got me, like, how dare you call, you know what, funny story?
My president, how dare you call Miss Your Candy out of his name? You don't talk about Miss Your Candy. I'm sorry.
Funny story, I've actually never seen Django, because I was just like,
it's Django, but
Django's
never
great,
seen it. I just watched a little part where like Steven is like holding him and he's like crying.
Yes.
Anyways, but I do I like Jasmine Crockett? No, because I feel like her wig is too heavy and I wanted to take it down.
Oh shit!
Like just a little bit of a size. But do I love the fact that she goes toe to toe with people? Yes. Do I love the fact that every time she gets disrespected, she's like, okay, if you're going to treat me this way, I am going to talk to you. I'm going to get what is
You go low, I'm going to go lower.
We're going to match energy. Yes.
Because I also
you go low, I'm going to hell. Yes.
Yeah.
There's this perception that black people just take everything. Like, you can hit us, you can beat us, and we're going to be like, God bless your heart.
Where did that perception come from, Miracle? I mean, we was walking across bridges getting bricks thrown at our faces and we wasn't responding. we wasn't picking up bricks and throwing them back. You know what I'm saying?
And Trump has shown that he is not doing stuff for the community. So even when you rub in and do what you do to make him happy, he still doesn't show up like he's supposed to.
Right.
Like if you even look at Republicans, even them themselves have been like, bro, what are you doing? This is what we asked you for. So the idea that like people need to work with Republicans, Jeffries just said the Republicans don't even want to take meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if Trump doesn't even want to take meetings for people because he doesn't value them as being loyal.
Yeah.
Like Fetterman's over here lapping up everything Trump puts out, and what has
that was crazy.
What has Pennsylvania got in return? Let's be very honest.
Lapping it up is crazy.
Well, what has
Fetterman
Pennsylvania got in return?
Yeah.
But think about it. Right, we got the AI coming so we can have no water.
Right.
We've got all this stuff coming to Pennsylvania so we can have no energy.
Yeah.
So we can have higher groceries.
Yeah.
We don't even have low, petrol, as you like to say.
Yeah.
Like, what has Pennsylvania got in return? And we have two Republicans who just run around and vote for Trump all the time.
Absolutely. Fetterman was the only Democrat that voted to continue bombing these boats in Colombia and Venezuela, where there been no due process for these individuals. We don't know what's on them boats or what's happening or what's going on. So, I mean, again, Fetterman as a Democrat giving really unchecked power to Donald Trump. Like you said, how has that benefited Pennsylvania? What deal has he made other than bending his knees, both of them, to Donald Trump?
And it's just like absolutely ridiculous. This idea of you have to work with evil in order to have some good. Yeah. We have seen that just don't work.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right. So you have to be like, this is what we need. And maybe Trump was like, I'm sitting tired of you calling me out my name. I am just going to do something to shut you up. And it could be a good policy. Or it could be like, okay, just go ahead and do some health care.
Well, what he did do, Miracle, was attempt to rewrite the legislator in Texas. So Jasmine Crockett doesn't even have a seat anymore. Yep. That was his response.
And now they are running in Texas
to do so. Right. So then that gives, again, it's showing what type of individual that Donald Trump is. And again, like Steve, I mean, is like, does Stephen A. watching what's happening in Chicago? Is he watching what's happening to black and brown? Like all the things that we've seen Donald Trump do, all the wicked that he's doing to American citizens right here in D.C., in Chicago. Apparently, Pittsburgh is going to be the next place, right? They said the feds are looking for a place in Pittsburgh. I was just at the airport, and I saw, at least it looked to me like 50 to 100 Army people in the air coming into the city. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, this is a few days ago?
Yeah, this is a few days ago.
I didn't see any when I was there.
Like, yo, this might be going down. And so you don't critique that, but you're gonna fix your lips to talk about how this black woman is standing up to Donald Trump. That's your play?
Yeah.
That's what you use your platform and bully pulpit on? Not to defend the black children that were pulled out of their housing naked in the city streets of Chicago.
Yeah.
You don't say anything about that, but how are we supposed to get along with that, Stephen A? We're supposed to get along with the man that's sending military troops into our communities and harassing our children and our families?
What Stephen A. stance would be, they don't need to be in the streets. They don't need to be. Maybe if they was living differently, Trump wouldn't have sent ICE in to black projects. That would
maybe
be
if we talked to him, maybe if we begged him, if we pleaded for him.
Because like we have to have an in-house conversation about Stephen Smith.
Yes.
We have to have that.
We're having it outside.
Yeah. We gotta have. But I mean, it's a little the cat's out the bag.
I mean, but that in-house. I mean, it really is.
But we do have a lot of black people, older, and some younger, that have all of Stephen A.'s talking points because this is what they legitimately believe. We talked about these black Trumpers. We talked about these black MAGA people, right? These black conservatives that Kamala isn't too far from. Yeah. That pitch this respectability politics all the time. Like, how often do you hear this in barbershop conversations? True. How often do you have this at holidays where a lot of these black uncles and aunties, they coincidentally came from HBCUs, right? Have these black conservative respectability to politic talking points. Yes. So I think a conversation needs to be held with them also, then they need to have their come to Jesus moments. Like, you're not included in any of these things that you're advocating for.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be spared if they get their way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But, Stephen A. Smith, get it. I hope you go turkey, nigga, and get some hair plugs or something, because you out here looking crazy.
Yes. I mean,
crazy.
Turkey's not that far away, brother. Go ahead and get your.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead and get your Turkish trip in, and get that. I mean, I guess maybe it's his thing now.
He can just be bald.
Like having a bad hairline.
Got the George
thing.
Jefferson.
Yeah. But he is super whack. Well, we do have.
Let's land this plane.
We do have some blackmail that we want to get into. So we have and some corrections. You know what I'm saying? So Maria is somebody who writes us a lot.
Okay, peace, Maria. Thank you for.
So Maria wanted to add one. She said I mentioned Mahmoud Khalil, and I said he was still in jail. She said he's out of prison, but I guess he's facing maybe the possibility of being deported.
Okay.
And she had some commentary about the least racist countries.
Oh.
She said, Uruguay, I haven't been there, but I hear good things. I find it weird 78% of the population identifies white. So she had some takes on that list, but we also had some other constructive feedback. We played a clip we played a clip of a black conservative speaking, and I called it, I said it was coming from a black radio show. And she was like, I got to put respect on my brother's name, which I should have. That clip came from the Clay Kane show.
Okay.
So shout out to Clay Kane.
Peace to Clay Kane.
She said he stands up to white supremacy daily, and that I just said us from some black radio show.
Okay.
We got to put respect on Clay's name. So Clay Kane, keep doing the work that you're doing, fighting a good fight. And we got some actual physical mail.
Got it in the post.
Yes. Which came with some support. It says, you want a Labubu miracle sent
Not
to
the
you?
red Labubu.
Jesus Christ.
Audience,
Not a Labubu.
Miracle wants the red Labubu.
Yeah, someone buy Miracle
Miracle's
Labubu.
home address is
460 Melwood, 207 Pittsburgh, PA,
So
15213.
This is a cool card. It's like a hip hop card. It says, you're a rare find. I catch your this week's show on Free Speech TV, and thank you for your truth to power, fearless activism. Plus, you're funny, often, and enlightening always. Your courage is contagious. To Jasiri, Farouk, and Miracle, keep spinning the hits.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our power, and this is what I can't read the name on this. Is it
I don't know how
Carol?
to read. Let me see.
Do we know what the person's name at the end is? Is that Carol, or am I reading that wrong?
I think that's Carol. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Carol, for supporting. She also sent some support for One Hood Media. We are a 501c3 if you want to support One Hood Media. We also have merchandise at One
Carol, I like your handwriting, man.
.org. So you can get your One Hood merchandise. Miracle has on a One Hood hoodie today. So thank you. We do take physical mail as well. And Miracle wants a red Labubu. So if somebody has the Labubu Connect, you can send that on. Our white pages today, we got an advanced copy from the University of Pittsburgh, August Wilson's American Century, Life is Art.
Oh, that's dope. We got an advanced copy.
Yes, August Wilson. And this was from Lawrence Glasgow. In my opinion, August Wilson's the greatest American playwright. All of his plays took place in the Hill District in Pittsburgh. The Piano Lesson just came out on Netflix at the end of last year. You can watch that on Netflix. Shout out to Denzel Washington, who bought all of his plays and produced his work. August Wilson famously said that his plays could not be taken to the movies unless it was a black director. And so this is an indispensable look at Pittsburgh's influence on the life and work of the playwright and acclaimed American Century cycle, August Wilson's American Century, Life is Art. So when this is on sale, guess when this comes out on sale?
When?
February 10th, 2026.
Oh, yeah.
So next year you can get this, but because we are who we are.
Come on.
Got an advanced copy. You know what I'm
Put some
saying?
respect on
We'll
it.
let y'all know what it is. So any final words? I mentioned we have the No Kings protest coming up on the 18th. I know we have an event on August 24th in Hazelwood. We're doing a pop-up with Jada House on August 24th. What else is happening, Miracle? Civic Cypher, where Miracle is talking to artists about getting involved in the political process. That's October 21st.
This weekend, if you're in Pittsburgh, we have our No Kings protest on the 18th, but also starting at 6 p.m., I'll be at TLC Libations for the Ryan Out Loud podcast. The live taping is $10, so please make sure you come out and join us there. It's going to be great food, great fun. We have a lot of stuff happening. The biggest thing, of course, is going to be this No Kings protest on the 18th.
Yes.
Hopefully I won't get arrested. Yes. But if I do, make sure y'all put some money on my book so I can have some commissary, because I'm going to be rested and eating. I'm going to come out looking like Young Thug did before he.
Are you gonna do a show on the courthouse steps?
Could you imagine if they would if I had a podcast or like Mamiya Radio from the Allegheny County Jail?
That would be crazy. You could maybe write a letter like Martin Luther King did. You could write a letter from Allegheny County Jail. You know what I'm saying?
I could, but we're hopefully not. She doesn't like jail. But just think about that, and then also we want to give what a wonderful life, that Miss Major, lived. She was actually at Stonewall, had spent since the 70s advocating for queer and trans folks, had housing for queer and trans folks, just always in the fight, always showing up. And she passed away yesterday. An amazing trans organizer and elder, and now
from the south side of Chicago.
So we just wanted to
Miss Major Griffin Gracie, also often referred to as Miss Major, like you said, was a lifelong activist for trans rights. We also during the show heard and were definitely deeply moved by the passing of D'Angelo, which I did not know had pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
So D'Angelo passed today.
That's crazy. Him and Angie Stone passed in the same year.
That is pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
D'Angelo was a incredible R&B singer. One of the people that when the neo soul movement came about,
he
was one of the leaders. In the faces of neo soul. Put an album out right as the Black Lives Matter thing was happening. That was a very radical, revolutionary project. That was his last project. So also rest in peace, D'Angelo, somebody whose music definitely was a big part of my life growing up.
Absolutely.
And a part of everybody else's. With that, did you have any final words? Did you want to send
Let's go Jays, man.
All right, you send your teams.
Let's go Jays, man.
Send your teams. You're not looking too good right now. Final words, Miracle.
Final words, just be a good neighbor.
Yes.
What does it start to say? We gotta show up. We must love each other.
Yes.
And support each other. We gotta do that.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. This week in white supremacy, y'all. Peace. One hood.